Welcome in to Fight Camp, Miesha Tate. I don't need to give a preamble. You know who she is. Former UFC bantamweight champion, 1-1 since in her 2 fights since returning from retirement. Miesha, this next fight, you're going to be moving down to flyweight. Still trying to figure out some details exactly on date against Lauren Murphy, but we've seen fighters struggle with the drop in weight. Cody Garbrandt, TJ Dillashaw. We've seen some guys do it well. DC, Michael Bisping. What are you doing to put yourself in the best position to be the best Miesha at 125 pounds?
Well, I've really got the best team around me. I got to give my hats off to Coach Cal and Training Lab. It's just about changing my body and doing it over a slow period of time. I'm still 3 months out. So, you know what? Honestly, I always assumed I was a 135er because when I started, that's all that there really was offered for women. And, you know, seeing some women start out at 135 and then like Lauren Murphy, for instance, she was a 35er and she went down and she's been, you know, pretty successful. She's still ranked in the top 5 at 125. She just fought for a belt. And those kinds of things got my wheels turning. Like, you know what? Maybe it'd be great if I could have a reach advantage. Maybe it would be really cool if I could have a height advantage. These are just generally things I've never had at 135. And I figure, you know, I don't want to leave my career with any regrets. I don't want to leave with any questions. So, you know, let's take my time. I'm going to do it right. I'm still not going to make a massive cut. You know, I'm going to drop the body weight slowly and surely.
Jimmy Smith here, by the way, Miesha. My question for you is the 6 years you had off, a lot of developments in the sport, a lot of developments in the training. What was the biggest change between leaving the sport and coming back and having success training-wise? What had really changed in the gym?
I feel like the talent of the women has gone up tremendously. I love training here at Extreme Couture, and I just remember a day when I was the only female, and it was a struggle to find female training partners, so that is no longer a problem. I had the best sparring rounds the other day with Casey O'Neill, and I mean, there's so many other great women here to train with that it really helps elevate the expectation in the room, and I'm enjoying that. You know what I mean? I don't want to be the only one. I think the more the merrier. So these women are absolute savages, and it's great to be filled in a room with a bunch of queen bees.
Miesha, though, I mean, when you started in any kind of combat sport, you were wrestling against dudes at Franklin Pierce High School.
Yeah.
You go into Strikeforce, it's 3-minute rounds for women, and you go all the way to being an executive at a major promotion, and now you're back in the UFC. For your personal journey, what has it been like to have that trajectory? As we look on screen and see some of your Franklin Pierce wrestling days, what has it been like to be, I guess, along for that ride and being someone who's spearheading this growth?
Oh my gosh, that's baby Miesha right there, you know. But hey, you know what? Those days made me so much tougher because I was competing against guys and I had to try to be faster, stronger, smarter, try to evolve myself in every way. And I've continued that mentality through my entire career. So I'm still at that point in my life. And I feel like I've never been in a better position to accomplish what I needed. You know, it sucks that I lost that last fight, but honestly, I think I needed it. I feel like it was kind of a sophomore slump, and I'm kicked off at myself for not giving more that I feel like I could have given more. And I'm going to do that in this fight. You know, sometimes those losses are there to teach us a lesson.
With the rise of women's MMA, of course, Women's History Month, all of that, the biggest change, the perception of the sport, what has that been to you? Has it been people not asking you about why you're doing it, all these things? The rise of women's sports in MMA, what has that meant to you in your career?
It is so nice that this is normalized. I used to get that question, what is MMA? What is women's MMA? Why would you do that? I don't really get too much of that anymore. It's become sort of a normal thing for women to do. And a big change that I've seen, you guys, is little girls in the training room. Little girls. I'm talking 5, 6, 7 years old. I mean, when I started, you would never have seen little girls in jiu-jitsu practice and in wrestling class. And we are seeing a generational change. What is going on right now is phenomenal, and it's really cool for me to have experienced such a broad spectrum. You know, I think I'm the only female to ever, really start way back in the day before part of the UFC, before Strikeforce even had women's fighting, then to come up through Strikeforce, become a Strikeforce champ, become a UFC champ, reach the pinnacle of the sport. I'm so grateful for that perspective because it still keeps me motivated and hungry every single day, just knowing where I started and where I came from, how much ground I've covered, but I'm still ambitious as ever.
Miesha, last question from us before we let you go. You've been linked to Lauren Murphy for this next fight, trying to figure out the date. What are you and Eric Nixick and everybody at Extreme Couture doing to get yourself on the right track with a weight cut and all of those things with a date yet to be determined? How are you balancing that out?
Well, I'm aiming for the summertime, so I'm just going to stay ready. Hopefully sometime in that July time is what we're gunning for. But we train to stay ready. We're not trying to take breaks. This is a time for me to grow, to learn. I am working with Eric on a regular basis. I think that he's great. And then working with my strength and conditioning coaches and, as I mentioned, training lab to get my weight down. What's really cool about dropping weight classes now with the knowledge that I have, even the UFC Performance Institute, is I can teach my body which muscles are important and where we can kind of give a little bit. So as long as I keep my strength program according to, then we're going to drop the weight properly. I'm not a big fan of big cuts. Guys, we're going to keep this tight and nice. And I think for the first time in my career, I might have some advantages, some like height, reach, I don't know, maybe strength. I mean, go figure, right? I think it's going to be great.
Well, your bantamweight days worked out okay. One of 5 women to hold that belt in the UFC, readying to make her UFC flyweight debut. Miesha Tate joining us. Miesha, thanks so much and all the best in the final weeks and months of your prep.
Thank you, guys. Appreciate it.
Thank you for watching ESPN on YouTube. For live streaming sports and premium content, subscribe to ESPN+.